As per usual, a licensed tie-in game is accompanied by its handheld brethren, which oftentimes is completely different in its own unique way, and Teen Titans is no different. Now, before I go further, I want to preface this review by saying I will be briefly talking about both Teen Titans and Teen Titans 2: The Brotherhood's Revenge for the GBA. I believe this is one of the only times a handheld counterpart title got its own special sequel divorced from the main game. Unfortunately, the console version did not get a sequel of any kind, even though it would have been really cool if it did, but what can you do? Also, you're going to be hearing the word both a lot in this video, so let's start off by saying that both of these titles were developed by Artificial Mind and Movement and published by Majesco Entertainment. They both also play about the same with very minimal but noticeable differences. The general style is a single-player action-adventure game where you complete a variety of levels while switching between each of the Titans and using their different abilities to overcome obstacles. In the first game, my personal favorite of the two, you can toggle between all the Titans at will just about whenever you want, and in the sequel, you gradually unlock them over time as you rescue them from the Brotherhood of Evil. Everybody has a basic light and heavy attack with a special move that can be charged up. Some characters can fly, break through armor, hack computers, phase past electric fields, so on and so forth. And they all feel useful in some way or another. It's just a real shame that their abilities were nerfed in the sequel to artificially make the game more difficult and by extension more frustrating. The sequel adds a new mechanic where you can summon other characters and titans from different factions to help you out in a pinch. It's really just a screen clearing super attack, but I guess it's kinda cool. Throughout the story of both games, you'll be fighting pretty much the same copy and pasted enemies over and over and over again with the same telegraphed attack patterns. Honestly, the combat is repetitive as hell, but it's serviceable. Many a times I would take unnecessary damage from things that I probably shouldn't have, and the hit detection in general could use some work. And I don't know if it was just me, but the control inputs felt a wee bit delayed when attacking, and sometimes my attack would just outright be interrupted by a horde of enemies or those goddamn annoying lasers and robot spiders. I'm also not really a fan of the level design. There are multiple passageways that lead either up, down, or to the right, but the game doesn't really make it clear where you're supposed to go, especially in the sequel where levels feel ginormous and drag on way too long, and some of the passageways lead to absolutely nowhere. So what was the point? Some levels have you being chased by a giant enemy or obstacle that usually leads to a boss battle, and these were easily the most infuriating parts of the game to me. Like Cyborg's second level where you have to run away from something while hacking computers to open the doors in advance. And I'll tell you, I died so many fucking times. Being crushed to death before you even have enough time to finish all the requirements was really annoying. I hate to say it, but Teen Titans 2 does everything a little bit worse than the first in my opinion. Like I said, the characters feel slightly less powerful and certain abilities were completely removed as a cheap way of making the game harder. Both of these games are just below average in my honest opinion, but I definitely found the first title to be more tolerable. The only other thing going for them is the decent soundtrack and nice sprite animation on the characters, but that's about it. The story of both titles is completely different from the console version, so you don't really miss anything by not playing them. I'd say my overall experience with the Teen Titans GBA games was just I mean, it's far from the worst thing ever, but it's certainly not good enough for me to come back to it for a casual playthrough. So, just like all the other games I've talked about recently, you'd be better off playing the console version instead. But nonetheless, if you're curious to see how these games really are, my playthrough for both will be linked in the description of this video. Now, with that out of the way, I'm not quite sure what the future holds for Anubis Black Games, but just know there are new things on the way soon. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like or subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.